Hello, it's Paul Clegg here, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have Rebecca Cross online. Rebecca, I've known for some 5, 6, 7 years. We're both from the north of England, as you will discover in a moment. And I've used to do some coaching with Rebecca, but Rebecca has absolutely accelerated her business. She's going to tell you a little bit about that. But Rebecca, welcome.
Why, thank you. I feel very honoured. Thank you very much. I think
Uh,
you're amazing, as you know. How are you doing?
Doing very well, very well. But I've watched and admired a lot of the stuff that you're doing online, working with lots of very talented and ambitious women. Do you want to tell us first of all about what that business is about, and then I want to move to what got you into that business.
So I have a coaching mentoring business that I call Stepping into Greatness. So it's where I work with business owners, entrepreneurs that really want to do that step into their greatness and what's blocking them. So it could be, it's not just about building a business, it's about understanding what is stopping you living the life that you truly want. Like if you want to work a 4-day week, or you want to build a business that is giving you a comfortable income, what is it you want from life? And so Stepping into Greatness is about, I use my own coaching model, and I'm doing this because it's in shape of a pyramid, because I believe anything's possible. It's limitless. There's no ceilings, there's no boundaries. The only ceilings or boundaries that you put on yourself is on you. You do that, is what you're thinking up here. So I like to work with people that have got a business, they got blocks of some kind, they don't know why they're not getting where they want to be, but maybe they're not aligned with how they're building their business. So I started this about 4 years ago, and it was something I realized when I looked back what I'd achieved, because I've had businesses for the last 12 years. If I can do this, if I, from Clitheroe in Lancashire, the United Kingdom, if I can do this, hell, anyone can. And it's about how have I achieved what I've achieved. And that's why I thought, right, I stepped into my greatness. I stepped in my own power of what I wanted in life, and I went for it. So that's why I started up in my own education, used my business experience, studied NLP, studied energy healing, studying positive psychology, all these things to put together to actually build something that can help others really live a life they want.
But you have come from Clitheroe. What was your background before that? What got you, and then what was that transition? What was it that you did when you growing up, when you left school? Because I know you had partly a corporate career,
Yeah.
and then you've moved away from corporate and into starting and growing your own business. So where did it all start?
So I did the most, what I would call the traditional path. Went to school, went to college, went to university, and I was very, very, very much, I did business at GCSE, business at A level, all the levels of education. That was the way forward when I was younger, when I was growing up. And then I went to did a business, an honours degree in business. So I always knew I wanted to be a millionaire. I wanted to make money. I always knew that. I always knew that. And I worked for companies like IBM and the Wall Street Journal, very corporate. I wanted to do well. My upbringing was through, I've been in foster care, I've had members of my family go to prison, we've had lots of things going on, but my way of making sure history didn't repeat was to really be driven by success. So as we had other things going on in the family, my addiction, if you like, was success. I had to make sure that I did well. So I was very ambitious in that way, but I was also had my own struggles like dyslexia and things like that. So it took me a while to realize what I wanted to do. So when I got to 28, I was on maternity leave from the Wall Street Journal, and how I actually started as an entrepreneur was my husband left me. And basically, I had separation anxiety, and my daughter was 2 weeks old, and I couldn't leave her. I couldn't leave her. No one could touch her. Like, no one could touch her. But also, I went in a bit of panic, and it was a bit of like fight or flight. I don't want to be a single mum, but I'm going to be a single mum. I don't want to be with no money. I don't want history to repeat. And I was looking back at things of when I was growing up. What am I going to be? I'm going to be that millionaire. And I started my first online business, and it was an online kitchenware business. And I remember using my Barclaycard and getting a website set up and like telling them what I wanted. And I remember maxing out the credit card. And I'm not condoning getting debt, but for me, it was like, I know I can pull this off, but I need something to start off with. And I thank Barclay. I'm a very loyal customer, Paul, to Barclaycard, because they did get me going as an entrepreneur. And I really, you know, there's little things in life that you make you remember how you got places. And so I started my online kitchenware business. And that was my first business back in 2008, when we had a recession, when things weren't going great. And I started selling Cornish blue.
Really?
Oh, yes.
So it's a big, well, I mean, that's one heck of a story. And I know, and I left corporate to start up my own business, and I hear of other people do it, and it's a big transition. How did you not find that difficult? You know, working for Wall Street Journal, and not only just doing that, having a baby, having your husband leave you, and starting a business. That is real resilience. I wonder how many people could do that.
I think the thing is, though, things come, and being an entrepreneur and having a business isn't for everyone. And I don't think it's meant to be for everyone, because we all have our own belief systems. Like, I remember my dad saying to me, "Oh, Rebecca, that's not a good idea. You need security." But you see, you forget when you're in a job, you still haven't got security, because look at all the big companies that have gone bust, like people like Carillion, for example. Like, nobody would have thought giving 20 years or whatever to a company like that wouldn't have any, you know, redundancy or pension or whatever. So the fact is, we have these certain limiting beliefs, I call them. Well, we all know, you know, what other limiting beliefs that are there, that this is the way you should live life. But sometimes we have experiences, and they'll either drive you or they'll stop you in your tracks. So it's about really realizing when something happens, do you fight for what you want, or do you really just run away and just hope for the best? For me, unfortunately, and I'll say fortunately as well, it's a bit of both. All my experiences going through life was teaching me that you can achieve anything you want, but you're the only person who can make the life and design the life of the dreams you want. No one else will do it for you. So when I had Emily, my daughter, I went straight back into when I was little and thought, I don't want her to have the life I had. I don't want her to see me worrying about money, struggling to do certain things. I want us to have a good life, but I also didn't want to leave her. And I also want to set an example. You know, your mum's going to pull this off, and you're going to have a good life, but you're also going to learn the ethics of life and work. So not everyone can do that, granted, and there were some very hard days, but you get on with it, and you build on your mindset. And that's the thing, your mindset is a muscle like anything else, if you want to learn running or anything else you want to do. So for me, I work on my mind every day, and I think of solutions all the time. I have a mantra: I can handle this. So when my 5-year-old's kicking off, I can handle this. You know, when the tax man says, "There's your tax bill," and I thought it was going to be half of that, I can handle this. It's the most powerful words I have in my own dictionary.
I think that's very inspirational during lockdown, with everybody, with parents having to cope with their children 24/7. All they need to remember, that's the phrase, #I can handle this.
I did a live on this on LinkedIn only yesterday, actually. It's like, remember this mantra: I can handle this. In a minute, darling. Sorry, Henry's just come in. You can have my phone now. Yes. Pinky. Pinky, close the door properly, please. As you say, children have just come in. Did you see how?
Emily, Henry, and Finley.
Yes. So Finley's 7, Henry's 5, and Emily's 12. God, I need to remember then how old they were.
And I tell you what, she's a smitten image of you. Yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, she hasn't got my mouth though, Paul. That's a good thing.
We're not saying about that. Wow. When we first met, you were a PA to one of the executive directors at BNI, a friend of mine, So we got to be working together because we were working on some marketing projects. You were very, very key in that. It was a franchise, wasn't it? The PA, the system.
Yeah, I invested in a virtual assistant franchise. Yeah, that was my third business. Yeah.
You know, so I think, and I think franchises, if they're well run, they're a very good way for a lot of people to move into a business because they don't have to create it all themselves. They have to follow the system. So for anybody that's wondering what they're going to do after COVID-19 and the pandemic, franchises can be a good thing. But you've now, not only did you launch your own new business because you had a passion for it, I remember the conversations, but you've also moved it online. And you were telling me earlier that almost any business, if it's done in the right way, can be moved online.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, as I was saying to you, I didn't realise until I look back how I've always been involved online. See, when I did the kitchenware business, that was online, and then I had a magazine business, but I also put it online. So people were able, you know, that was back in 2010. So when I had the little A5 magazines, like you probably can see to this day, people can put through the doors. I actually put that online. So anyone who didn't happen to see it come through the door, or it wasn't delivered or whatever, they'd have it online. You can be so creative. There should be, I was even thinking about this the other day when, and this is a good tip for you. Look, I'm on one now, my inspiration's going. If you've got even those people that have had to shut down their restaurants or shut down the cafes, you know, be creative. Why don't you think, if you've got some recipes, why don't you say, these are the recipes that we use in our restaurant? You know what, check these out. Like, if you want a copy of them, there's something you can always put online to give yourself some kind of marketing to stay in front of your audience, or even to sell an ebook of your recipes for $9.99 that they're missing but they could cook from home. You know, there's so many ideas if you think about it. There's so much you can do online.
I think while we've got these challenges, I think people are realizing that maybe in the past they've been so busy raking in the money or doing the business, they've not had to think outside of the box. For a number of years, I've been doing the newsletter marketing for a restaurant, and he's got about 400 regular customers, and none of his competitors, I imagine, have got anything, because nobody ever asked me in any restaurant for my email address, but he regularly sends out, or I send out for him. So now I help with his social media, getting the news out, and I help with he does a newsletter twice a week with special recipes, and he's doing takeaway, and he's surviving. He's doing okay. So I think there's no doubt about it. We need to stop fighting the internet and realizing it's here to stay. So you've moved your business online, and you've just said that there's lots of ways people can do. And I think one of the things that is really key, and I know you believe in this, is that you don't have to have the talent to be able to do everything yourself.
No.
But you need to surround yourself by people who will support you, inspire you, and perhaps do the things you don't have the expertise, the desire, or the time to do. So having a mentor, you've always felt you are a mentor to many at the moment, an inspirational one, but you've always invested yourself into mentors and coaches.
Yeah, I've always had a mentor coach for the last 12 years. I mean, you were one of them. It used to help me out when I had my VA business. I used to come to you about marketing, like, I don't know what I'm doing, help me. Because there's literally, for me, especially as a mentor or coach, I can't brag about personal development and talk about new strategies if I'm not learning and evolving myself. A, it's hypocritical, and B, I'm just going to stand still.
Yeah.
And we're always evolving, and it's so important that especially if you're in business, for your business to do well, you need to improve as a person as well. That's why I always say, to grow in revenue, you need to grow in mind. It's a two-way. You can't just do one without the other, in my opinion. And it's the same when you realize, when you talk about helping others around you, you know, you're only going to be motivated and have the passion to do certain things. So for me, technology, there's certain things of technology I have just got no inclination to do, and that's why I have a team to do it for me. I want to be in my mastery, what I'm good at. You know, if I'm going to focus and get myself stressed out trying to figure out how to put a landing page together, oh crikey, my children will be like, please someone do it for mummy, I can't stand the shouting anymore. You know, I rather would just pay someone, get that done, get it out there, and then I do my things of selling it. And that's when you've really got to think out the box. You can't do it all, but you can also, you've got to think of your growth. Things have got to keep moving, so you've got to have the belief that you can see what the bigger picture is. That's
the reason why I'm smiling is twofold. First of all, I think people make all sorts of excuses for not doing things. They should get on and do it, and no matter what happens. So whether it's Henry walking in or the fire alarm just going off, I thought I'm going to end up in flames.
I didn't even hear that.
And the other thing I was smiling about is, I don't know whether you remember, I knew that you were dyslexic. So I used to write your blogs, and I think your mother said, hey, this is really good, didn't she? And I got you a gig. I think you got you a speaking gig at Excel.
Yeah. And I remember my mum saying to me, Rebecca, you've really come on with your English. I'm like, I know.
But you didn't tell her, did you?
Like,
right.
You don't realise I have to get that checked over by Paul and make sure it makes sense. And you know what? To this day, I mean, there's a lot of things I write. I still have somebody who's got to check over my writing, because I do with my dyslexia, you know, sometimes, but I don't let it stop me. And it's funny, especially on LinkedIn. Oh God, you'll always have the LinkedIn police. I just want you to know, listen, love, we've got all day. We could go through my literature, but at the end of the day, I'm still making money and I'm still helping people. So I think I'll cope. You know, we're worrying about the wrong things here. Absolutely.
Now, one of the things your key business is stepping into greatness, and you've said it on a number of occasions. You help people get unblocked from what's holding them back. And I think if people were honest with themselves, or they have this teased out, they will realize there's something deep down holding people back. What are the sort of things that hold people back?
I think in my experience, it's going to be limiting beliefs they've picked up from their family, or it's going to be an experience they've had. So I'll give you a simple one. Somebody may have had an experience of a family member who have maxed out their credit cards, and the thought of being in debt with credit cards is just something they can't even entertain. So if they want to invest in themselves, or they want to start a business and they think, well, that means I'm going to be in debt. That means I'm going to have to be in debt maybe. But then they don't think about having a £200,000 debt with a bank for having a house, by having a mortgage. Their perception of that's different. So the block of how your relationship with money is quite interesting. You know, it's quite a big thing when they think, but that means I'm going to have to spend that money. But you think, well, what makes you think you won't make that money? What's stopping you to think you can't? So there's lots of different blocks that is going into lack. The famous thing, and I wrote a post about this yesterday, the more you say, what if though? What if what? What if it all goes wrong? Well, what if? Why don't we concentrate on embracing what is possible? And by you taking that action means you're one step closer going to your reality. We are in a dialogue is another thing that stops people listening to that little chatterbox. And it's hard to understand the cause of where that's coming from sometimes. People say, well, I don't understand. I just don't think I can do it. Well, we need to understand, where does that come from? And it could be, and this happens sometimes when I either do NLP work or if I do it through healing, it'll be something that some innocent person didn't even mean to say when they were 5 years old. It's, oh, you can't do that. But the time they took that as a completely different thing, because before you're the age of 7, everything you are spoken to, everything that's said to you, you're like a sponge, and you will create your reality around those words that come through, which is why, you know, my daughter's now 12 and I think, oh God, what did happen in those first 7 years? Is that why she's like she is right now? You know, it's things we don't think about, but of course not everybody's aware of that. So the blocks are very much about wondering about if they're going to fail, their relationship with money, and sometimes it's about their self-belief in themselves. Those are the really common things that I come across. And then there's obviously other things that are obviously bespoke to because we're like an onion, aren't we? You take over one layer, there's another layer we've got to work on. But it's also a very brave thing to work on those onions layers that we've got. But also there's another thing I want to say, and I think I said this to you earlier, and I call people out on this online. I don't agree with all these easy, quick fixes, because there is no quick fix. Yes, you can join a franchise, yes, and you can have all of the structure, but they can't teach you how to have the mindset to build a business. So unless there is the right support there, as long as there's a right way of you reprogramming of what you can see what you're capable of, that is the hurdle. You know, anyone can give you a to-do list or give you a shopping list, but you've got to understand how to go out and put all that ingredients of that shopping list together to create the meal you want. Or you know what I mean? It's there's so many people out there saying, come on my program, you can earn 20k in a month. I'm not saying you can't, but has that person got the right mindset to be able to do that in that month? You know, and the people that have made that money, are you being honest and saying, well, that person's actually been in business for 12 years beforehand? You know, that's where I don't like the full transparency. But anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to bring the call to an end, if I may, because I know you've got to get on to other calls, and I have as well. I've thoroughly enjoyed this particular session. Where can people get hold of you? I mean, I will add your details on whatever details on a screen when I edit this particular video. I'm not going to cut anything out, but at least I'll add a few things in. Where, you know, who are the sort of people you would that you feel right now that are listening that should at least contact you?
If you have a business and you're already in business and you're stuck somewhere, or you're not making consistent sales, or you're feeling like I need a kick up the ass, basically, definitely contact me and we can have a chat. And the best way to find me is probably on my website, which is Rebecca Cross Limited, so RebeccaCrossLTD.com. And actually, you'll see me everywhere. You'll see my videos on there. You'll see my colourful language on there. You'll see lots of things on there, but it'll give you an idea about, you know, what I do and how I do it. And I think that's probably a good start.
I think a lot of us need our backsides kicking at times. We need driving. You know, I remember my favourite teacher was always Mrs. Fripp, because she was very stern and she kept me in order. And you're not quite Mrs. Fripp, but I should imagine that you do keep everybody in order. Rebecca, thank you for.
Sorry. I know, I was saying I do it with lots of love as well. There's always lots of love with it.
Well, funny enough, Mrs. Fripp was my favourite teacher. Rebecca, it's been lovely talking to you today, and it's been a couple of years since we've had this sort of chat. We should do it again soon. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.